with actor Mach, who is currently starring on Broadway in Kinky Boots. He plays the role of Harry, and he understudies Charlie.
Nice.
So, prepared. Before we get into Kinky Boots, let's talk a little bit about when you first decided you wanted to be an actor, and the steps you took to make your way to Broadway.
Yeah. Well, that was 30 years ago. I started acting in like little theater shows when I was in maybe like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe not quite 30 years, but
I was gonna say, wait a minute, were you acting in the womb?
Yeah, I mean that started. It started with local community theater classes, and then that kind of transformed into piano lessons, which then transformed into like some bigger community theater shows, I guess. Yeah. And then voice lessons and high school musicals, and then I.
Not that one, right?
Yeah, actually.
You did that one?
I
That's
did
so
a high school musical, yeah. And then during high school, I was starting to wonder if I could do this as an actual career, and I don't think I thought that was something that I could do or that people did. I just didn't understand how you could actually make a living doing what you love, because it was so fun for me, and it was the only thing I did for a solid 15, 20 years. Well, before college at least, so I guess 15 years. And then I auditioned for like 10 different schools. I got in only 3, so I decided to pick from those 3, and I went to Baldwin Wallace, which was like 5 minutes from my house. And so that's kind of like the progression of coming out of the womb till college, and then everything kind of took off from there.
I was going to say, and take off it did. You've been in so many productions, like from A to Z pretty much, whether it was regional, whether it was college, whether it was a tour, whether it was, off-Broadway.
Yeah.
What are some of since you have so many credits, I mean, this interview would be about an hour and a half long if we talked about everything. What have been some of your standout roles?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about my progression, at least, is that it's been really fair to me in the actual way that it worked out. As in, like, I started, with a non-equity show, a tour, which was Rent in college. I left for a year, and then like my next thing was like a regional equity job where I got my equity card, and then that moved on into like an equity tour, and then I was like in the ensemble on Broadway, and then it just slowly worked up to this awesome position I'm in now, where I'm understudying the lead in a Broadway show. But my favorite shows have been, I mean, I always say that the production of Wild Party that I did at Baldwin Wallace was just amazing, and it was the concept was so cool, and I loved that show. That was Wild Party, and I played Burrs, which is like the ultimate for a guy, I think. All the juicy bits and awesome music, and I just like lost myself, and it was a blast. And I love the show I'm in right now. I really, I mean, the cast is amazing. Most of them have been with it since the beginning. Probably half, I'd say. And it's just a really great, and I always say funny group of people, which is, I just want to be around funny people. Especially if you're in like a long-running show. I think that's a really important characteristic in a cast, just to have this at times. So to be surrounded by such amazing funny people is a really great thing to be a part of.
Now this weekend they're doing Rent Live in LA, which is extremely exciting for theater folks.
Same.
And
I'm so excited.
When you were on tour, you were Gordon, but you also understudied Mark and Roger. For anybody who knows the show, that's kind of a weird combo to understudy, because it's like 2 different voices.
I know, and it's funny now because through college I kind of was able to play like not so much the leading man and more so like the more fun roles that when I got to the city, I was never asked to be those fun roles. I instantly was kind of pigeonholed into this leading man, handsome, whatever thing. So actually, when they were doing the Rent off-Broadway production, the role of Roger was open, and the role of Mark was open, and I couldn't even get seen to play Mark, even though I had previously played it on tour. Just because, so I think now, I'm 31, and I think just like now, within the past year, I've been starting to go in for more of those fun, kooky roles.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, it's about time, because I can do that too, put me in glasses and mess up my hair and put me in a weird outfit, and
You think
I
you
can
pull
do
off
that.
Angel?
Oh, I mean, that's a little far. But yeah, that would be a huge challenge, and that would be so fun, I think. I'm not Latino, so I don't think it'll ever happen, but if you're talking just like role in a concert or something, like maybe, that'd be fun.
Now, talk a little bit about what it's like to go on as the lead for Charlie in Kinky Boots. Is there a different? Do you feel more pressure as going on as the lead, or? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Only because it's like a dream role of mine that I've had for since it opened, really. I remember I was in Hands on a Hard Body when that show opened, and our whole cast went to go see it in like one of the first previews, or like invited dress or something, and we sat in like the final row, and I was like, that's a role I want to play. And for the next 5 years, I auditioned like 10 or 12 times for it, just for different roles, for Charlie himself, for like an angel. I went in once for an angel and like did the whole dance call thing, but I had never auditioned for this track, which I think is like kind of perfect for what I do and how I sing. And they've been really casting stars in the role for the past few years now. So it really hasn't opened up. But when this opened, I went in, and I think it was kind of the perfect right place, right time situation. They had seen me do Charlie stuff and Angel stuff, and I think when this happened, it was kind of the best of both worlds. But I do feel pressure because I love the role and the songs so much, and I've only done it like 12, 15 times since I joined a little under a year ago. So when that opportunity comes, I of course feel pressure, just because I only do it every 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
You're obviously very musically talented. Do you obviously feel more comfortable doing musicals, or would you like to do more straight plays and or comedy, like without music?
I think I do feel more comfortable doing musicals because you have the music to rely on. When the song comes up, you're like smooth sailing, because that's what that's how I was trained.
Yeah.
But I totally want to explore the play world more, because I feel like I'm an actor first. I really didn't have a really great voice in college, even on the Rent tour. I was like teaching myself how to sing that whole year, because I had only had like 1 year of voice lessons prior.
How many times did you go on for Roger in that? Do you remember? Or roundabout?
I'd say like 20.
That's not an easy role to sing if you don't feel like you're confident in your singing. It's
totally.
a lot of high
I
notes
was teaching myself how to do all that Roger stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes when, like during What You Own, if I like wasn't feeling it that day, I would ask the Mark if we could switch harmonies.
Yeah.
Just because I just didn't know how to sing an A.
Yeah.
Where now that's a daily occurrence for me. But what was your original question to this one?
About if you feel more of a challenge being in like a straight play, or
Oh, yeah. My first like big play that I didn't sing at all was a play with music, but again I didn't sing in it, which was Mrs. Miller Does Her Thing at Signature in DC. James Lapine wrote it and directed it, and that was kind of my first adventure into the play world. And to do a play with him is like monumental, you know, and it was my first kind of experience not singing at all. I enjoyed it so much. He's the best. I want to work with him every day of my life. So great. But there's this new play coming in from London in the fall that I'm kind of obsessed with, and I'm putting it on my bucket list to at least audition for it. It's called The Inheritance.
Okay.
And it's just pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, you'll be free at that point to go audition.
Maybe.
Or, well, I mean, at least you won't be in kinky boots.
You're right, exactly.
That's more what I meant.
Yeah.
Hopefully you won't be free for that.
We'll see. It's okay. You know,
You've been
6
working
months
so
off.
steadily. You deserve a break.
Yeah.
You've done primarily stage work. Did you ever want to go off and try TV and film, or do you know this is your absolute niche where you're happiest? And
Yeah, I mean, people have asked if I would move to LA, but I feel like, well, the TV auditioning world has kind of opened in the past few years in New York, where I feel like there's almost as much opportunities here to audition for TV film as there in LA.
With the advent of Netflix shows and all those other streaming services,
yeah,
it's
and a
opened
lot
up
of them film
doors.
in New York too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's on the horizon for sure.
Nice. Now you also started in 2012 a concert series called Broadway Sings.
Yeah.
What made you want to do that? Was it something as a break from doing the same routine role that you were playing at the time?
Yeah, I was in Godspell. I was a standby, and it was Tony voting season, so no one was calling out because they wanted to be seen for all the Tony voters, which is understandable.
How dare they?
And so I was, frankly, a little bored and a little creatively stifled. And Adele's second album had just come out, and she was huge then. And I had just met this guy who played an open mic night for me, and he was amazing. His name's Joshua Stephen Cortez, and I had this idea of doing a concert of all Adele songs with like all my Broadway friends, and so we kind of put this night together at Poisson Rouge, and it sold really well, and it was a blast. So we kind of continued it as a tradition, and we expanded the band, we expanded how much we changed the songs. We got some like crazy stars the first few, and then we moved to the Highland Ballroom a few years in because our orchestra got so big that we could no longer fit on the Poisson Rouge stage. So we've been at the Highland Ballroom every year the past 4 years, I'd say, and they just announced their closing a few weeks ago. So now we're moving to Sony Hall, which is this beautiful new venue where like Queen of the Night used to be in Midtown. And I'm really excited for that because it's truly like the VIP experience.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They have this new sound system there that is surround sound, like one of the first in the world. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool lighting package. The stage is beautiful. It fits like 500 people, so I'm really excited for that to happen. March 4th, we're gonna do a reboot of our very first concert, Broadway Sings Adele. So it's kind of all coming full circle. We're gonna do like half the songs we did for that show. We're gonna amp up the arrangements a bit, add like double the orchestra we had in the beginning, and then we're gonna do the other half brand new songs that she had from her newer album.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Singing in a concert type setting, it's got to feel different because instead of doing the same part, how you would normally play the same part over and over again, you're really putting your performance into one song and really emoting and what's that difference like for you? Do you find one not easier, but do you feel like you can kind of not be lazy, but almost fall into your other role that you keep doing over and over again, and you really want to put?
Well, we try in Broadway Sings. We try to, since we're working with a lot of amazing actors, and since it's amazing to interpret a song with like a full orchestra. Yeah. We try to approach each arrangement with like a sense of acting first, So we never want to take a song and change it so much that it like doesn't make sense in the new setting. You know, we wouldn't take an Adele song and make it like an R&B number if the lyrics didn't justify that. You know, so I feel like with the concerts, it behooves the artist or the performer singing the song to interpret it from an acting sense. And I think those people who come in and do that, it ends up being like the most magnetic performances. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to get tickets to Kinky Boots, the link is in the post. Same with Broadway Sings.
Sweet.
You can visit Corey's website. Everything's linked up. His Instagram. We've got you covered. So thank you, Corey, so much for taking the
Thanks for
time to
having
meet up with me.
me.
It
Of
was
course.
really great to interview again.
Cool.